Namaste. This is a sweet little level 1 flow. It could be treated as a warm-up or as an entire practice for your day. You may need a belt, could be handy, or something you can use as a belt. So come into your comfortable seat and choosing immediately whether you have palms facing up or palms facing down, whether you need to be more receptive and open, or perhaps you need more grounding in your life right now. And then closing the eyes and establishing your fuller, deeper breath. So the breath moves down first. There's this feeling of the diaphragm moving down and the belly expanding out. That initiates the movement of the inhalation. And then the breath can deepen further, so you can breathe towards the side ribs, to the front chest and the space between the shoulder blades. And gradually building in momentum, building to breathe into the collarbones as well. But this may happen over 4 or 5 breaths. And the exhales like this release a sigh, whether it's an audible exhalation, an audible sigh, or an internal sigh of relief that you've carved some time out of your busy life to turn inwards to honor this body temple through a yoga practice. The inhalation continues to build and it's starting to feel very expansive with your inhalation. And like the skin on the body simply softens as you exhale, softening and melting. You can join the hands into Namaste. Cultivating an intention for your practice. And even if you don't usually create an intention, I encourage you to here. There's a certain magic that happens when we just think of something greater. We open ourselves up to something greater. And you can carry that with you. You can place it upon the altar of the breath throughout the practice. And then swinging yourself around to a hands and knees position with the knees and feet together. A slight toning through the core, lengthening from the tip of the tail all the way through to the crown. Take an inhale, lift the sitting bones and offer the heart forward. And as you exhale, draw the navel in and rounding through the back. Inhaling and opening out. And exhaling, making a dome through the back. Inhaling, stretching the right leg back behind you. And exhaling, coiling in. Inhale, stretch it back. Lift up onto fingertips and step that right foot all the way to the hands. You can take the hands onto the thigh and then coming on up, come back as if you're trying to bring the whole of the back body to the wall behind you. So this includes front ribs in, bringing the hands to Namaste. So your left thigh should be vertical. Take an inhale and interlace the fingers, lift the elbows high, scoop the tailbone down. And then as you exhale, rock forward and lay the belly onto the thigh, reaching the arms forward. Inhaling and rocking back once again. So back body to the wall behind you, interlace. The fingers behind you, lifting through the chest. Inhale here. And as you exhale, bring the hands down. Bring both hands either side to the inside of your right foot and pivot your left foot over to that right side and come on up. This is like a restorative Viratu position. So you've got your left thigh vertical, hands just at shoulder height. And check that you can spot the right second toe just to the inside of the knee. So it's not this knee collapsing in, but the knee moves out. Take an inhale. And as you exhale, bring the hand onto the hip and lengthen the right arm up and over. Inhale, return to center. And exhaling, elbow to knee, and now the left body grows long. Sweep that arm in front and inhale here. If you'd like to, if it's okay for your hips, for your knee, you can rock the hips forward. Inhale back to center and exhaling again. So it's like you're bringing the pubic bone down towards that right heel. Inhale, center, and exhaling. Inhale, return to center, and exhale. So we'll hold here. If you have it in you, you could lower the hand down to the floor, to the inside of the foot. Maybe inch that foot further forward so that the shin becomes vertical. Peel the left chest back. Take one last full deep breath here. And exhaling the hand down, pivoting yourself around. You're facing the little edge of the mat again. Power up that back leg and straightening, extending all the way to the heel. Then take the hands onto the thigh and coming on up, hands to the heart space once again. So from here, let's simply stretch the arms all the way up, staying strong through the back leg and this active loop through the belly so that the spine stays long. And then interlacing the fingers behind the back of the body once more, reaching the knuckles back. Inhale deeply. And as you exhale, you can release that hand down. Step yourself back either to downward facing dog or a hands and knees position. Growing long through the spine, lifting through the hips. Come forward, full plank or half plank, knees lowering down. Draw the shoulders back and try and get this feeling of a turtle neck growing long through the spine. And exhaling, lowering yourself down onto the floor. You can come on up into Sphinx pose, so check the elbows are directly under the shoulders. Lengthen back through all 10 toes. Then soften the head forward, look to the belly, lift the belly up. So we're activating that scoop of the tail, reaching down to the heels. Look forward through the heart and draw the upper or arm bone back while the heart moves forward again. Once again, lengthening through the back of the neck, even turning the head lightly side to side. Make sure that you're soft there. Take another full deep breath, finding that same feeling of expansion that we had right in the beginning of practice. And exhaling, lowering yourself down, tuck the toes, lifting up through a full or a half push-up, and back into downward facing dog. So you can bend the knees slightly here, engage the arms into the floor, and again the neck softens and lengthens. Lift the sitting bones up high. Maybe working towards straightening the legs up or not. You can keep the knees slightly bent. And let's then lower the knees down onto the floor. Once again, knees and feet connect. A few rounds of cat's breath. Inhaling, heart forward. Exhaling, looking to the navel and scooping the tail. And again, lengthen through the front of the body. Rounding through the back of the body. Inhaling, left leg lengthens back. And exhaling, nose to knee. Inhaling, reaching back. Exhaling, coiling. Lift up onto fingertips, step the foot forward. Hands onto the thigh, and then rocking back. So again, thinking right thigh vertical, heart lifted, front ribs drawn in. Inhaling, interlace the fingers. So this is the heart opening mandala. Exhale, rocking forward, laying the belly on the thigh. Inhaling, rocking back once again. So you return to that vertical shape. Release and interlace the fingers. Move the tailbone down, the knuckles south, but lift through the chest. And then releasing and bringing the hands to the inside of the foot. Pivoting now those toes around to the left edge, and we come up into this Vira 2 shape. Inhaling here. And as you exhale, the navel can draw to the spine, so you're supported as you arch back. Inhale, center, and exhaling. Inhale, return to center. Now adding in the hip movement, if that's appropriate for you. Inhale back into center and exhaling. So pubic bone moving down towards that left heel. Last round. Navel to spine as you exhale. Maintaining this length through the inner left thigh. Hand can slide down or not. Now the right chest peels back. Shoulder blades away from the ears. One last breath. And then bringing both hands down. Pivot the leg back, one hand either side of the foot. Straightening the back leg up and hands onto the thigh. Hands into Namaste. Try to still reach back through that right heel and the same amount of energy forward through the left knee. And although you've got this expansion out, try and balance it with this drawing in. Inhaling and stretching the arms all the way up overhead. And interlacing behind the back of the body, still scooping the tail as you lift through the heart, and releasing the hands down. Step yourself back, downward facing, or hands and knees. And once again, let's come forward, plank. Lowering the knees to the floor if necessary, checking that the head's not sagging, but maybe gazing forward slightly. And as if the heart had a set of eyes as well, gazing forward with your heart. Lowering yourself down as you keep the collarbones broad. And then taking the hands to the side of the mat, so tent the fingertips. Draw the shoulders back, lengthen through the toes, lift through the belly. And inhaling, lifting yourself up to a cobra. Of course, you can always return to a sphinx position if need be. Draw the shoulders back, heart forward, breathe deeply, lift higher. And exhaling, melting yourself down. Slide the hands under the shoulders, tuck the toes, full or a half pusher. And then back into either downward facing or child's pose position. So those of you who know how to jump through, you could do that. Otherwise, lowering the knees to the floor. Swinging the legs to one side or crossing the legs over and bringing yourself down with the feet to the edge of the mat. Lift up onto your fingertips. Even trying to get a feeling of cobra through the upper back here. And let's then drop the knees down to the right side, looking over the left shoulder. Return back through center and switching, looking over the right shoulder. Inhale, center, and exhaling. And now you can start to move with the breath. So inhale to one side, exhale to the opposite side. So let's inhale over to the right side and come on down onto the elbows. Try and get this feeling of length and lift. And then arching over, so you need to pivot your right hand onto the floor so it's more supportive, and lift the left arm up and grow long through that left side body. So you could stay here or move towards a side plank type position. So lifting through the hips and reaching through that left arm. You can then lower the hips down, sweep this left arm around and coming into a side bend here. Cup the head with the hand, that's your right hand, and try and move the right elbow back. Lift and open. And then returning yourself back up through center, the feet back up or knees back up, and switching sides. So just a palate cleansing movement side to side a few times, dropping down onto the left side and then doing your best to come down onto both elbows. It may or may not happen, so you may be up here slightly, that's fine. And then changing it slightly, left arm comes out and you're resting more onto that left forearm and left elbow, and the right arm reaches over. So either pausing here, or if you're able to, drop down through the shins and lift the hips, arching and lengthening. And then lower the hips, reach up through that right arm, circle it all the way around. Right hand comes onto the floor and reaching over. Then cupping the head with the left hand. Try and peel the left chest back, opening and twisting. And return yourself back up through center. And keeping on going with the movement, but coming down towards the elbows, making it quite leisurely. And you can then come to lie down onto your back, arms out to the side. Staying with that same movement. Inhale one side, exhale to the other side. And returning back through center. Stretch the arms overhead, just a little bit of core strengthening. So hug the knees into the body, but keep the arms extended overhead. Inhale here. And as you exhale, stretch the right leg out. So easier is going to be more vertical. More challenging will be lower towards the floor. But you want to try and stay with that left knee squeezing to the chest as you reach through to that right heel. And then coming back in, and left leg extends out. So the more that you can hug in with this bent knee, it will cause the lower back to press towards the floor and the tailbone to lift slightly. So staying with this movement. It's not so much breath focused. You exhale the leg out, but then you might take a full breath cycle there. If it's too much on your lower back, you could bring the hands alongside the hips, that's fine. One last round for each side. Lower back pressing down, tailbone lifting, bent knee hugging in. And then let's embrace the legs as you rock a little side to side. And replace the feet down onto the floor. So you could use your belt now and take it over the right leg or right foot. If you are able to reach, you can go peace fingers wrapping around the right big toe. Try to keep pressing through the inner ankle, through that inner channel, reaching away from you. You could stay here or potentially stretch the left leg along the floor. So I'll demonstrate the easier version. For a moment, try and flatten the tailbone down towards the floor while still actively drawing that right leg in. And then try and tack the outer right thigh back so that the foot and leg is more square. The body goes to the place of least resistance, so you might find that there's a creeping up, a cinching through the right side waist. So just try and lengthen that out as much as you can. So now we'll separate the legs out. It's ideal if you do have this left knee bent up. So over a few breaths, try and separate the legs away from the midline. The idea being that you keep the lower back completely stable on the earth rather than this tipping and lifting through the left side. So try and stay stable there as you extend the leg out. Continue to lengthen through the inner river of that right leg, but also matching it through the inner left leg. Return back through center. Squeeze that right knee into the chest. Move the hips over to the right. Straighten the left leg out and turning into your twist. So when we actually move the hips to the side, it helps to keep the spine in one line, and so the spine can focus on that beautiful corkscrew in the same plane rather than having to deal with a bend as well as a twist. So now right ear to the shoulder, right knee softening towards the floor. Right shoulder blade melting down. It's quite a passive pose, so just use your breath and try and dissolve any tension, any blockages. And returning yourself back through center, ready for the second side. It may be nice to just calibrate here. Checking in and the difference in the left and right sides of the body. Taking a mini Shavasana. Knowing that Shavasana is just around the corner. So you can bend the knees back up and squeeze that right knee into the chest. Stretch it up, either using your belt around the ball of the foot or peace fingers wrap around the big toe. What I do see commonly is the hands catching hold on the inside, which causes this whole closure through the front side of the body. So ensure that the palm is facing up, or at least facing to the right side. You can stretch the right leg out along the floor or potentially keep the knee bent up. And again, rather than this shortening in the left side waist, try and tack that outer left hip down towards the right foot so that the stretch stays in the belly of the hamstring. So when your body, again, it goes to that place of least resistance and it'll go to somewhere receiving less of a stretch. We want it deep in the belly of the hamstring. And now opening out, stretching out the adductors so you can slowly separate the knees away from the midline. And the main focus is trying to keep the lower back flat on the floor. So we're not looking to just tip to the side and go slack, but be active and be actively lengthening through the inner thighs. The left to create space and length, the right to create balance and harmony. So you can return back up through center and squeeze the left knee into the center. Once again, take the hips and move them over to the left side. Stretch the right leg out along the floor and then moving into your twist. So the left arm will come along the floor. I also find it helpful to press down through the elbows to lift the upper back and to try and get the twist to happen in the upper back. So we have a far more capacity to twist in the thoracic spine. So that's where we want to be maximizing the twist. As you inhale, try and grow long, grow spacious. As you exhale, again, that inner or outer sigh. So there's this feeling of softening. And then returning back up to center. You can extend the legs out once more and come to place yourself down for a few moments of Shavasana. Feel the length and spaciousness that we've created with the stretches. Feel that residual strength and power that we've created also. And feel this harmonious blend circulating freely through you, like the tide that has this ebb and flow to it. Feel this natural circulation of energy into new areas. Maybe it's been awakened in some parts of the body. And let yourself drop deeply into that. Drink deeply from this well. Let yourself be replenished here, even if it's just for a few short moments. Bending the knees up, deepening the breath, rolling over to the side. And before bringing yourself up to a seated position, so we come full circle, back to the hands at the heart space. And take these blessings, this new energy, new strength, new openness, and new clarity into your life. Namaste.